Looked like the feed's great. Well, hello there for y'all who can see us. This is Matthew Hill and Carol Ponton. I'm a little worried that our feed's off, but hopefully, oh, there we go. I think it's getting back on. We are. All right, so we're on. We appreciate you joining us today. We are looking forward to hopefully answering some questions and getting folks answers they need to keep their claim going. So we already got a couple questions here. Thank you for letting us know, Jordan, that we are up. And we're always holding our breath as to whether technology is going to be with us or not on these days. So, okay, let's see. Noah had a first question. Is there a DBQ, disability benefits questionnaire, for erectile dysfunction? I don't think there's one specifically for that, but I do think there's a prostate one which would cover that.
Right.
So that would be covered in the prostate exam. It might even be covered in the PTSD as far as secondary issues.
I think the prostate's the best.
Yeah, so I would look there for the prostate disability benefit questionnaire. Nicholas, I just completed a sleep study to check for sleep apnea, but was diagnosed with unspecific sleep disorder due to fragmented sleep and lack of REM. Is there a way to claim that as Gall-4 syndrome? Yes, I was going to say I was concerned that he didn't have a diagnosis, but that's classic, unfortunately, Gall-4 syndrome, and that whatever you have is amalgam enough or just kind of just isn't definable enough, if you will, to give it a certain diagnosis. So that to me would be evidence that you do have a disability because they're able to kind of tell what it's going on. You would want to know maybe if there's a known etiology for that, meaning like this usually comes from something like, there's certain diseases that are genetic. So if it's none of those, then I think you have a very strong claim with that evidence there. Okay, so let's see. We got another one, Michael Holland. I got denied for increase in lower back, was sent for a higher level review, HLR. HLR came back with a duty to assist error, but closed the claim. What should be my next step? Bad QTC exam, so bad outside CMP exam. First of all, I guess I'd want to know how you found out the claim was closed. I'm not doubting that it was. But my next step would be to send them a letter asking for status of what's going on with the claim. Where are we? And if you have proof showing that it was closed, then I would attach that. But if they said it was due to assist error, that means there's more to be done. Another CMP exam, clearly in your case.
But that happens. I mean, we see that all the time, that they say duty to assist, or they say whatever, and then all of a sudden somebody closes it out. It's an error. So you need to point that out.
They will not act on that most likely. So you got to be the one who's proactive there. TL, how do I qualify for SMCL from loss of use? Okay, so SMC is special monthly compensation. And the crazy thing with VA is you can get 100%, but that's not the highest amount of benefits you can get. 100%, I think right now is 3,300. You can get these levels of special monthly compensation that max out at SMC R2. That's about $9,000 a month. So there's a lot left to be obtained. One of the ways to get up there, frankly, the way that you have to get up there is you either have to have an amputation or loss of use of an extremity, arm, leg, hands. So loss of use would depend on which extremity we're dealing with. But
it could be erectile dysfunction.
Well, that's not going to get you up to L.
No, but go up to L. So no, you have to have loss of use of your hands, loss of use of your feet,
right?
Blindness, deafness.
Well, so the loss of use for the extremities part would be the easy test is, have you lost the ability to use that extremity to the point to where if you were to have a prosthetic, that your prosthetic would be as good as what you have right now. Okay, so that's the kind of overall. But to me, if I'm looking at loss use of legs, are you able to propel off your foot? Are you able to stand on it and bear weight?
Are you able to balance?
Balance, yeah. Those are things I'd look for the foot. For the hands, I would look to see, can you manipulate things with your fingers? Can you do this? Can you just button and unbutton like you normally do? Can you tie shoes? Can you use a fork? as you normally do. I've seen vets do amazing things who have loss of use. I mean, they can use a claw hand, still have a fork, and still cut and still eat their food, but that's not how their fingers were meant to be used. So,
and the big test is, can you pick up a coin off the center of the table?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So it doesn't mean you have to have lost your hands or lost your feet. It's just what the feet's purpose is. You've lost that and the purpose of the hands.
Yeah.
And like Matt said, we've seen amazing accommodations, but that's not the test. The test is
accommodations the vet makes himself
right.
or herself. So we talk a lot about hearings, no hearings at BVA, and how we basically never do hearings. The last 3 or 4 hearings we've done in our firm have been for loss of use cases to show exactly what Carol said. Hey, I'm putting this quarter down in the middle of the table. You know, I want you to pick it up, Mr. Veteran. And then I will talk it through to let the record reflect that they can't use 2 fingers. So they basically have to scooch it to the side of the table to get it off. So
if you do that, that's loss of use.
Yeah,
if you have to move it to the edge of the table to get it up.
So maybe we went overkill on that one. Sorry.
Nothing different.
Yeah. Okay. So where was I? Fritz, good afternoon. I'm currently awarded TDIU. I have several other claims that are pending and service connected, such as migraine, sleep disorder. Will I receive SMCS? So you're looking for special monthly compensation S, so also known as housebound, but in your case, it's a legal SMCS, meaning that if you have one disability at 100% and others combined 60, then you get it. You just automatically get that. Now, the key for you is, what is your unemployability for? If it's for one single disability and the others combined to 60%, then yes. But if you have a TDIU relying on several different disabilities, then you will not get it. So you would need to have that TDIU based on a singular issue, a back, a PTSD, something like that.
But remember, you can combine things that are related. So say you have diabetes and you have 20% for that. You have peripheral neuropathy, you have cataracts, all of these are related to diabetes. You can combine those. And if you're disabled totally because of the diabetic problems,
right,
that counts. Or say you have a back that causes problems with both legs and that disables you, that counts. Okay, so even though there's back and then they give you ratings for other things, urinary incontinence, it all adds together because it's one issue that's causing all of that. So it's a little more complicated.
Yeah, it's if you look up, you want to look at the combination. So if you look up 38 CFR 4.16a, that shows you what combinations you would need to get the IU. So that's 38 CFR 4.16a. But the only one that's applicable there is one to where it's secondary conditions. So like the diabetes and the neuropathy.
Or a complication of.
Residuals. So it is a little more complicated. Looks like SMC is a topic of the day here. So can you lose SMC after 5 years? Yes. You can lose SMC up to, we had a veteran came to us at 19 years.
19 years.
10 months, and they took it away from him.
We got it back.
It took a while. But yeah, you can lose it, and you just need to make sure you're continuing to document whatever the SMC is on that.
Remember, even if you have permanent and total, whatever you have to have the service connection for 10 years, and then they can't take it away unless they show fraud. And you have to have the rating for 20 years before they can't take it away except for fraud. Okay, so whatever rating, 20 years, and then it's good.
Yeah. Nicholas, how would the sleep disorder be rated since Gulf War syndrome doesn't have its own rating? It would be rated according to the symptomatology you're suffering from. So it's probably rated under sleep apnea or other sleep problems, even a psychiatric sleep problems. There's a 30% rating. It talks a lot about inability to sleep. So it would be rated on a different diagnostic code. Gulf War syndrome is not, if you have Gulf War syndrome, that means you have, a constellation of symptoms that are objective. And so once they've diagnosed you with that, then they look at the symptoms and say, how should we rate this? Well, what here is rated? It's that time. Is refusing to do repeat treatment for service connection at VA reason enough for a rating decrease? I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about treatment, those are two different things. Treatment's at the Veterans Health Administration, and your rating is through the Veterans Benefit Administration. So if you're talking about not going to 2 CMP exams, that could be perilous. But if you're talking about treatment, I don't.
I've seen that, Matt. I've seen them do a CMP exam and say, this person isn't getting any treatment, so clearly they've gotten better.
Oh, yeah, they use the black
Seen
treatment.
them.
Yeah, but if you're talking about a specific procedure or something they're asking you to do and you're not comfortable with, I think that's different than not showing up to a clinic.
You don't have to do anything that's considered dangerous
Or you're not comfortable.
or you're not comfortable with, right?
MedMundo, I am currently rated 60% for knees, shoulders, and skin, diagnosed with sleep apnea 3 years ago and given CPAP by VA. I've struggled with lower back. Do I submit a new claim for these as secondary? If you have somebody telling you that, well, the back is, I think, very connectable.
Right.
As secondary. The sleep apnea, I'm not sure. I would want a doctor to say, or you're saying this disrupts my sleep every night. I wake up in pain.
Because of the pain.
Yeah. So, but I'd get a doc to back you on that.
You need to Google that to make sure it's one of the known side effects, okay, or known complications.
My eyes are going bad. Gerardin, if I'm diagnosed with situational depression while in service 20 years ago, and I'm diagnosed with major depression now, is it too late to file a claim for depression? Never too late.
No.
All right. Cole, hello, folks. Oh, thank you for doing this, by the way. Love it. Appreciate all y'all's comments. These are nice. Vulam, diagnosed with fatty liver disease due to diabetes. Went to exam and they said I could go ahead and submit it. Do I connect it to my primary condition of service connection of 40% due to degenerative disc disease?
First of all, I don't know if you're going to get a rating for fatty liver disease. I think a lot of people have that, but it has to become a disability. And I don't think fatty liver disease is a disability. You need to look at that. If it becomes cancer, if it becomes cirrhosis or something like that, then you can file for it. But just having fatty liver disease, I don't know if you're going to get anything. So you may spend a lot of money to get a 0 rating.
Yeah. This is Stephanie. I just want to say you have an awesome video. I'm so happy to watch you both. I'll keep watching. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Benny Rosas. Hey, Benny. My appeal does not talk about sleep apnea for secondary for my asthma. Benny, I will look into that, making a note now.
But remember, you can only get paid for the higher rating of something that has the same symptoms. So say you have asthma and you have sleep apnea, you're not going to get paid for both of those. You're only going to get paid for the higher. Sleep apnea is going to give you 50%. It's hard to get a higher pulmonary under asthma for that. Just letting you know. So you need to figure out where am I going to get the higher rating and put your ducks behind that.
Well, we'll look into that, Benny, and we'll get back to you. Johnny and Alberta Jordan, what is the timeline for awaiting a law judge review? I have one that's been waiting since December 19 and 2 just sent up in July of this year.
That December 19, if that's at the BVA, you need to call and make sure they don't have you down for a video conference. I'm telling you, there's something wrong with their system. We don't ask for hearings, and every single one of mine has been noted as asking for hearing. And we didn't know this until like May of this year when we got access to the BVA calendar. So call the main 800 number or whatever number for the BVA that you have and ask them what is the status and say, does it note a video or any kind of hearing on there? And if not, you need to get rid of that. You need to find out, tell them I didn't ask for a hearing, I want this looked into, or maybe you need to send them a letter waiving any hearing before the BVA. The ones from this summer.
It'll be a couple of years,
Yeah.
I imagine.
Now remember, if you only have one issue, it's probably going to go faster than if you have 18 issues.
Mm-hmm.
So even though there are some cases that have been filed at the same time, some are going to move faster. Also, these cases are put in line for a specific judge. If that judge moves cases faster, your case is going to move faster. So there's a lot of variety in here that we can't predict. But if you have a case that you filed a VA-9 on and it's sitting there, you better look to see if there's a hearing that was asked for.
Okay, Bobby Moore. Can I get benefits from 2 services currently? I'm getting benefits from the Navy. Can I get benefits from the time I was in the Army also? Yes. If it's the same issue, I don't think you can, but there's no reason why if you had DoD benefits for your knee that got injured in the Navy, and then you had DoD benefits from the Army from a problem you had with your shoulder, I don't see why you couldn't. But yeah. I would think if it was the same, both of them were the left knee, I don't think you would, knee's a bad one, let's say the left arm, then I don't think you could get those benefits.
In other words, you'd just be duplicating.
Yeah. Kyle Wise, why would asthma be rolled up into sleep apnea when on albuterol at least 2 times daily and 50% has not changed from the combination?
Because it's the symptom. It's what is his disability? What problems do you have because of this disability? And if it's a breathing problem, then if it's COPD, if it's asthma, is it sleep apnea? They're all the same. They're a breathing problem under the VA guidelines.
James Sellers, I am stuck at 80%. One rating 30%, 2 at 29 at 10. Is it time to get someone else involved? James, one of the most frustrating things we see is their math. And the closer you get to 100%, the harder it is to get 100%. So let's say you're 80% now, and you got a 50% rating on top of that. That would be a 85%, which would get you up to 90. And then let's say you got a 40% rating on that. Well, that would be 94%, which would keep you at 90. So that's extremely frustrating. I would look at your work situation.
Does it say, did he say whether he was working?
It didn't say, but if you are working full time, I'd want to know, is it sheltered? Meaning, are you working for somebody? Are you working for yourself? Somebody who accommodates you due to your disabilities? If you're working full time in the open competitive market, are you making more than $13,000 a year? Or are you not working because of these? If you're not any of those things, then you should be applying for unemployability, because that gets you 100% TDIU, which it circumnavigates all this nonsense of 10% here, 40% there, 20% here, because it gets just so frustrating.
Because you only have to have one rating of 60%, or combined rating of 70, and your service-connected disability keeps you or contributes to you not being able to work. So it's much easier to get that 100%.
Yeah. Mr. Herbert, or Ms. Herbert, excuse me, husband is 100% TDIU in wheelchair provided by VA due to radiculopathy. Needs help dressing, cooking, bathing. I am a LPN. Does he qualify for SMC? Yes, I'd say he qualifies for, it's called aid in attendance, which is SMCL. She's going to want to know about loss of use.
So we're getting you all the way up that SMC chain. So aid in attendance, housebound, can he not leave the house without you? And then you want to do loss of use of his feet. If he can't stand and balance on each foot, that's loss of use. So you want to file for all of these, and I'll bet he has erectile dysfunction. And I'm only saying that because that's just another SMC. So you want to file for erectile dysfunction, you want to file for aid in attendance, you want to file for housebound, and you want to file for loss of use of his feet. Okay. And he's entitled to that. So they're going to turn you down. You need to keep fighting that.
Yeah.
They do not like to give SMC when it starts getting to be big money.
It's that time. Is there a VA rating for vitamin D deficiency?
No, because not unless it's not vitamin D deficiency, but has that caused a disease or an illness. So it's like having high cholesterol. There's no rating for that. You have to wait until you get a heart attack or you get coronary artery disease or something because of it. That's the same with vitamin D. Now, if vitamin D contributes to lack of it for you getting COVID and you get illnesses from that, then that's a disability.
Yeah, that's a much trickier rabbit hole there. It's that time. Magic Dragon, is there extra VA housing benefits for 100% TDIU?
Well, I think
tax benefits, but I don't know.
Oh, tax benefits?
Well, he didn't ask for tax benefits.
No, but the VA has really gotten behind this as far as providing housing for veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And so depending on how much your income is, they are really helping veterans get housing now. So whether that's a rental, temporary housing, or whether you want to buy housing, remember you have the VA loan that you can get. So they really want to get the veterans houses. They don't want homeless veterans. So you should apply through the hospital side, the social worker there, and see if they can direct you to whoever helps with that. The medical center, not the hospital.
Right.
That's where I go.
Right. But I don't know that that's necessarily dependent on you being 100% TDIU.
I think
more income
right.
than others. Okay. Shemp Howard, I noted anxiety, excessive worry, and service in my exit exam. Not seen, however. Now, years later, I still suffer from anxiety, but wonder how to service connect absent any major trauma. You noted it in service. The doctor would have to talk about, well, this is what's going on in service, this is what's going on now. So there has to be a nexus, but the fact that you put it on in service is good because it shows that you're suffering and you have the ability now to elaborate on what's going on.
That it is, and you want to make sure they know if this is true, that it has continued from that date to now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you need, yes. Alexandria GR8, what are they looking for on a competent pin for gynecological issues, specifically if your infections are not active, looking to get 20% for sexual assault, lifelong STD? They have to rate you in a active phase of the disability.
Right.
So if you come in and the disability is dormant and they say, well, there's no problem here and give you 0%, that's not an accurate exam. Okay. Now, if it's something that's so, you can't predict when it is gonna flare up or it's gonna be active, you can speak to them about the symptoms you've had and what goes on and how long it goes on. And hopefully that would give you an accurate rating. But the true law is that they have to see the active disease process.
Which is why it really helps to go to a VA medical facility to get treatment. Even if you have a private doctor, if it's flaring up, go to the VA. I would always have some contact with them so that they can document in their records what's happening. And that way the VA is not going to deny that you have this because their own doctors have said it. Okay. And they have proof of the symptoms.
And if you have any other rating for the assault in service, sexual assault in service, that should also be proof that you have it. But I think you're talking more about the rating and how you get the rating. And again, it has to be in an active state. Is how they are supposed to review it. If they just give you 0% because it's not an active state, well, then that's not an accurate rating. Ivan Borden, doctors don't have records back 20 years anymore. Can I still get presumptive for sinusitis and rhinitis with wife's and my late statements? I've currently been treating for both. An MRI shows chronic. If she can give a lay statement showing that you had this in service, and then you're both giving lay statements of the continuity of symptomatology, meaning it just kept on going on, then yeah, I think you have a shot. Not going to be easy. And that's incredibly frustrating. We've come up against that all the time as far as the record keeping and how stuff's just thrown out. And it, the burden really shifts heavily on you to prove that. But I think that's a way to show it. Anybody else who knew you back then in service, or you give a statement about, problems you're having with your sinuses, that would help as well. But if it's just your wife and she knew you while you were in service and she observed you while in service having these problems, then that's what you go with.
And if she knew you before service, it's really helpful to say you didn't have it before service, but you definitely had it after or during service. So anybody who knew you during that period, it can be brother, sister, cousin, parent, whatever, lifelong friend.
Stan S., if I'm already rated, if I put an appeal for what happened to my current disabilities and rating, will they put everything on hold until a decision is made? No. If you're rated, they will continue those benefits. If they increase your rating and you still appeal, meaning they increase your rating enough, they will give you that increased amount. So you can keep appealing and they're not going to stop your benefits. Linda Lobb, I'm 100% P&T for MDD with anxiety as of 2020. Will a supplemental claim from 2015 for chronic fatigue put me at risk for losing my 100% P&T? I was awarded 40% for fibro, but think chronic fatigue should be separate for Gulf War injury, I think, GWI. Should it? No. I mean, you're talking about 5 years more benefits, so I would definitely pursue that, especially if it gets you up to you're 100% P&T. If it got you up to 60%,
so you get the past due plus you get SMC.
Yeah. So
yes.
And if it got you up to a point to where you were eligible for TDIU, and that there's VA can't say there's one reason. There can be multiple reasons you can't work. Then maybe you can get 5 years of benefits at unemployability. So I would fight that because that's money on the table already versus just filing another claim to see what happens.
So you understand what he's saying is if you weren't working back in 2015, your allegation could be because of the chronic fatigue, I was entitled to unemployability as well as an increased rating for my chronic fatigue. Mm-hmm. So that would give you 100% way back, and then it would definitely get you SMCS when it joins with the major depressive disorder in 220.
Yeah. Vulam prescribed sleeping med for my insomnia from a VA psychiatrist. I have not been rated for depression yet. Can I submit the issue now? I have a CMP for depression finally next week. You can't get rated until the VA benefits section rates you. You have to, the fact that you're treating and they're giving you constant treatment and showing how bad it is great. But until you have a doctor, probably a CMP examiner, connecting it to service, you're not going to be getting any benefits. Joseph M, Jose M, excuse me, if I have been denied for something not service connected, can I file them as secondary service connection?
Sure.
If they're secondary to, yeah, some problem you have, then definitely.
And a lot of times that's easier. And remember, if you filed a claim and they denied you, then you might be able to file a higher level review and argue duty to assist, that they didn't look at whether or not your back was secondary to your knees, as opposed to just seeing if the back problem existed in service. And that way you keep your onset data from when you first filed your claim.
Keith White, I have severe neuritis, tarsal tunnel syndrome, and chronic pain syndrome due to too many surgeries, depression, and anxiety because I can't work anymore at 61. I'm only 40% service connected help. So Keith, I don't know which of those are service connected. Apparently some of them are. Some of those could be like chronic fatigue, chronic pain syndrome, and depression could be strong secondary claims that you should make. And the crazy thing is with those, you could easily get a 50% rating just for that, if not a 70% rating. So you definitely want to file those if you haven't already been service connected for them, because those should get you more.
Did he say he couldn't work?
I can't work, yeah.
Then unemployability, make sure you file for that as well.
Yeah, that's her favorite.
Well, the problem is, it used to be if you could always file later. Now they're really taking a hard stance. You don't get money until the month after you file for unemployability. I don't think they're right, but that's what's happening.
Right, and they're saving a lot of money by doing that.
Yeah, so you want to file right away for unemployability if you think you can't work and it's a problem with a service connection disability.
Okay, Michael Holland, thank you so much for the weekly videos. I've learned so much. God bless, and for helping us. Thanks. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate that. Linda Love, will a claim for fatigue be pyramiding, since I'm 100% for MDD with anxiety and 40% for fibro, also have sleep apnea, but not service connected for sleep apnea?
You should be service connected for sleep apnea secondary to the major depressive disorder. And as far as remember, you're going to look for the symptoms. They rate the symptoms, not the name of the disease. So any symptoms that overlap in major depression or other things, no, that would be pyramiding. But there are other symptoms with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. There's a lot of pain that goes with fibromyalgia that doesn't go necessarily with chronic fatigue. So you need to separate out the symptoms that you're having, and that would tell you whether or not you're going to get a higher rating.
Yeah. Efrain, would you throw up the diagnostic code link again? You want to look on there, and it's kind of hard to find just the way they group it, but you want to look and see how they rate fibromyalgia versus chronic fatigue syndrome, and that will help you separate out your actual symptoms, what would go with one and not the other.
And I'll let you know what to tell the VA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Nicholas, how important is it to have a diagnosis prior to filing? I have all the symptoms of IBS, but the VA keeps rescheduling my appointment, and I'm worried on the intent to file will run out. File it file it now. I mean, you have it now, whether it's IBS or something else. But
so just put all the symptoms down.
Yeah.
If you don't know what to put for a diagnosis, just say reflux, indigestion, just all the symptoms put down, because they don't hold you to making the correct diagnosis. They're not supposed to do that because you're not a medical expert, but you can just testify about the symptoms you have, and then they'll see which diagnosis it fits into. But don't let the year run out on that intent to file a claim. Go ahead and file right now for all the symptoms that you have.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Bill McGrath, can I submit a personal statement to a supplemental claim after C&P exam is done? Thank you both for doing these. Yes, you can. It needs to be something different than what was submitted before, but especially if you're talking about critiquing the C&P exam, you certainly can.
Yeah, and I encourage that because some of them are really not what they should be.
Blah talk. In my recent C&P exam, the examiner saw some of my medical records, gave me a diagnosis, determined that I have service connection and a high disability rating. This is one of two. So let's see if I can find the other two. Thank you for putting that. And other folks, if you let me know if there's another, like a one of two, meaning you put something else, that'd be great so that I can go hunt it down. No, it's going to hunt it down. Well, there we go. Now the VA is saying that it is waiting to receive more medical records from the VA hospital. What happens to my claim if they don't receive additional records? will be stuck in limbo. It should not be. They could send you back to one of their examiners to try to get a clarification. What's frustrating about this is we don't know what they want to clarify. And it's, I always get paranoid or just a little, well, I mean, you got a favorable CMP exam and now they're trying to, looks like they're trying to throw you under the boat because what records would they need? So I don't know. And
you might want to ask the VA what records you need, because maybe you can supply them. Sometimes they'll respond to you, sometimes they won't, but that might help.
Okay, where were we on that one? Bill Sco, question 7. In the process for attempting to get approved for TDIU, currently 90, which includes 70% depression and not working, if approved, is TDIU more semi-permanent rating versus a traditional rating? No, if you get TDIU permanent total, it is not.
It's the same thing.
Eric Seabury, how does the VA have time to review claims to reduce when they can't even catch up with the claims they need to adjudicate? I agree with you. They actually do not review as many claims to reduce as they say they do, but you're right, they still do it. And meanwhile, everybody else's rate is waiting in the process.
But I think Congress has mandated that they perform so many reviews.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so they're not performing as many as they're supposed to perform. I can tell you that.
Yeah, they're behind on.
They're behind on everything.
Benny Rosas, you are awesome. Love my trainings. Thank you, Benny. PB Jelly. I only spent 2 months in boot camp and got discharged for scoliosis. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia shortly afterward. Do I have a chance for VA benefits for the schizophrenia? That's tough because there's only 2 weeks. You'd have
2
to.
months.
You said 2 months? It's still not 90 days.
Yeah.
So you would have to show something concrete in service. You snapped, or you had a fight, or you
something awful happened to you, or everything changed. So if it happened in service, yes, even though you weren't 90 days.
But if it happened 10 days after service, and unfortunately you're out of luck there.
So you have a hard case, but you don't have an impossible one, depending on what happened to you.
My own way, just got a favorable finding for low back pain and 50% for plus plantus. Should I immediately file low back pain secondary to the plus plantus?
Did he get service connected for the low back? I'm not sure.
No, well, he's got a favorable finding of low back. I think that basically means they acknowledge the diagnosis of lower back, in the new rating decisions. So if they haven't service connected for low back, then yes, I would file for it.
As a complication of that, absolutely. And do you have bilateral radiculopathy, pain going down your legs because of the back pain? So you want to file for all of that.
10 toes down. On one hand, the VA has released news stories indicating that MST, military sexual trauma related claims, have been significantly increased grant rate. Thank you both for your info. I'm back on my rating using your tips. Oh no, sorry, that's another person. Okay, sorry. So trying to follow, because I knew this person had followed. Okay, so 10 toes down continues. However, a VA Office of what is IG again? Investigator General issued a report on August 5th, 2021 that indicated that VBA, Veterans Benefit Administration, still handles a high percentage of MST claims incorrectly. So
that's correct.
Yeah. And they also recommended that the denied MST claims that were adjudicated improperly in their sample be re-adjudicated. And then let's see, Chairman of the House Veterans Affairs Committee has called for all denied MST related claims to be re-adjudicated. What are your thoughts?
That would be great if they do it, but you're right. I have to say that there has been a small improvement. Before, it seems like we never won S&T cases at the regional office, but now we did. Or before, it was, I don't remember doing it, but we don't win as many as we should at all.
And with the MST, it's the same story in that it's all relative here. So they did such an atrocious job for decades on these cases, and then we just saw, this is a significant number of our cases are MST cases, because you look back and you see where the women and the men filed again and again and again, and they just railroaded them and just denied them across the board. Now they're saying there's a significant increased grant rate. Well, let's say they were granting 50% and now they're granting 25%. Well, that's almost a 100% increase, right?
Well, they were granting none.
Well, yeah, so they're granting, let's say they were granting 5%, now they're granting 10 or 15. Wow, that's a 200% increase.
Yeah.
So that's
It's not where it should be.
white lies, damn lies, and statistics. So that's where I put this one. But as far as them saying, hey, they should all be redone, Carol and I agree with that.
Remember, you got two things. You've got Congress, who has veterans and want to represent them.
Right.
And then you've got the VA, who's supposed to effectuate what Congress tells them to do. And they're two totally different things.
And they would basically have to pass a law to do that.
Right.
So unfortunately, I think unless the chairman puts forward some kind of legislation, I think this might be talk.
Yeah, we haven't seen any action so far.
All right, VM, thank you both for the info. I got my ratings using a lot of your tips. First time go for 100% PNC without higher level review or appeal. You guys know your stuff. Wow, that's great.
Great,
First time without
congratulations.
having to, that's a lot of crap you didn't have to deal with. Good for you, VM. Nicholas, since C files are taking longer than 12 months to get, how do you use them when the supplemental claim has to be filed within 12 months? So I'd filed the claim again, the VA has this duty to assist. They're going to chug along in their system. They're going to ask for paperwork from you. They're going to ask for medical records, probably set you up with the C&P exam. All that will take place, okay? Some of the cases we're seeing that take place within 3 months or under means they didn't do their duty to assist. And so that should be an appeal to the higher level review saying, I handed all this in, they didn't do anything with it, and that should be sent back. All that time going on, you're asking for the C file, and you should get the file. But if they make the decision and it's not what you wanted, it's not favorable before you get the C file, you appeal. And meanwhile, unfortunately, you are waiting for the file, but then once you get it, you have more evidence going on. The decision they give you will give you a lot of information, though, as far as what you need to keep pursuing. Look under the favorable facts. Did they find you have a diagnosis currently? Did they find something happened at service? Did they find that there's a nexus or a link relating to the two? So you want to look at those, and even before you get the C file, you're thinking, okay, well, they said something happened in service. They said I don't have a diagnosis. Well, I need to focus on that now, going out and getting, my back diagnosed versus, back pain. It's not a diagnosis, but degenerative disc disease is. So that's what I would look for.
Yeah, that's the thing that I find that the biggest problem is that a lot of veterans don't know why they were denied, and they keep beating on something that's already been conceded by the VA. And they're not answering the question that the VA has. They're saying, yes, we see you had a back problem in service, but currently you don't have a diagnosis of a back problem. So that's what you have to concentrate on. Just look at what they say in there, and that will tell you what to do. And if they didn't give you a C&P exam, that's an automatic duty to assist in many cases. Okay, error.
Okay. Charles Wright, I filed a claim in 2019, still waiting to hear. Any idea what's holding that up? I don't. I would.
Yeah, there's a problem.
Yeah, I would definitely be filing a status letter saying, maybe even attach what you sent into them.
Definitely attach it, because they may have lost it. They may not have gotten it. They may have closed the case inadvertently. All of these things happen.
Vu Lam, fatty liver can be rated. It can cause chronic fatigue, which I suffer from now.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that you have fatty liver. It's caused something that has a disability name to it, chronic fatigue. So I don't think you told us you had chronic fatigue, or if you did, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're on the right track. We agree.
Right.
There's secondary conditions that you need to file from there. Javier, 70% for PTSD. I recently had a CP exam for and increased, and I noticed that the examiner added MDD, major depressive disorder, to my claim. Any idea what that's about?
That could be good or bad. That could be that the PTSD has caused major depressive disorder. Now you have both of them, or it could say that's a separate problem you have that's not related to the PTSD. Some not so favorable examiners do that. So on the form, it will say, do you have PTSD if it says yes or no, or do you have major depression, yes or no? And if you have two of them, then it will say, can you separate out the problems and make them two separate problems? And a lot of times, if they'll say, no, it's all part of one thing. So that doesn't hurt you. If they say, no, they're two separate things, PTSD is service-connected, major depression isn't, then they're not going to give you the rating for what's caused by major depressive. So we don't really know what that person did, the examiner.
Right, but they at the end of the day, they're both rated on the same diagnostic code. So you're going to, if they are both service connected, you're going to get the higher of the two. If PTSD is the only one service connected, a major depressive disorder isn't, you're going to get the PTSD rating and not the other one. So that,
Or the PTSD could be higher when it's joined with the major depressive. They say
because of
it's
the
one thing,
symptoms. Yeah.
but it's really hard to get higher than 70% for a mental condition. Usually you need to either talk about unemployability or you need to talk about things that PTSD would cause, like sleep apnea, headaches, things like that, because you need to look at the rating for PTSD or for any mental problem to get 100%. It's really hard. And so you don't want to spend your time, if you don't meet the symptoms listed for 100%, just appealing that over and over. You need to spend your time thinking about how can I get 100% if I don't actually meet that rating. Headaches, sleep apnea, lots of things.
John, do you know if money put into an IRA doesn't count towards the $12,000 maximum for unemployability? It does not. Would DoorDash or Uber count as sheltered work environment? Well, Uber is going to say that you're a contractor. I think DoorDash is the same thing, meaning you get to make your own hours. You get to work when you want, how much you want. So I would say that's sheltered work as well. Northern Colorado transparency, denied for sleep apnea, RLS, chronic pain from Gulf War, submitted secondary to OSRD. Do I appeal? I don't know.
What's OSRD?
So yeah, I don't know what those are either. I do know that if you had chronic fatigue, I would, that should be.
Read that again, Matt, I can't.
Denied for sleep apnea, RLS, chronic fatigue pain from Gulf War, submitted secondary to OSRD. Do I appeal?
What OSRD is?
I don't either. I mean, if you have a doctor or medical literature saying that those are secondary, then I would appeal. The chronic pain from Gulf War, I would appeal straight out without it being secondary. And what's RLS? You know that? I don't know if that is either. So any disability that you can't find a known etiology, again, a known, where it's from or what would cause it, I would follow that directly as a Gulf War syndrome. So it doesn't matter that it has a name, a diagnosis. The VA doesn't like you to know that. Restless leg syndrome. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So yeah, that's one I'd file as well, because that's, what caused that? Is there a disability that you have, and the VA says you have this disability, not service connected, and that's what caused it. So I would go with that. TL, I'm rated 30% for degenerative disc disease of the cervical spine with IBDS. During my last CMP exam, that stated that I should be rated max due to me having loss of use of my upper extremities. If you have loss of use of your upper extremities, this goes back to Carol's favorite thing.
SMC. Okay. So if you have loss of use, you can't use your hands. That's a much higher rating. So you have a neck problem that's causing you inability to use your hands or your arms. That should be a pretty high rating from SMC. And if you're not working, that should be unemployability for sure.
Yeah, that's SMCM for loss of use of both hands, which Carol said is high. I have no idea. It's $5,000, $6,000 a month, but it is. You definitely want to be pursuing that. Okay. TL, I was denied for aid in attendance. So keep on fighting, same person. And you should actually be aiming for more than aid in attendance. If
yes,
your
much more.
You've lost those. Kenneth McKinney, I'm redoing a military discharge upgrade for undiagnosed PTSD at the time I was discharged, but 50 more than likely caused in a CMP exam. Discharge is because so I can get benefits yet. Oh, it looks like you had bad paper discharge. Kenneth, so I don't think that's a question. Yeah, so if we see you down here a little bit lower, we will we'll come back to you on that. Louis C got deferred, not denied, again till the 20th, already PTSD, and apparently back. This is my fourth deferral. Louis, I remember talking about this last time. I'm growing weary, but you guys are great and helpful to the nth degree. Stick in there. One of their last tactics is to delay or defer in your case and deny and see if you'll go away. Okay. John Newell, I'm 20% pending 2 claims awarded percentage for sleep apnea. It was remanded. Question is, I received an RCOM for service in OEF for a year as a civilian in 2008, 2009, in
What's
the
an
US,
RCOM? Do you know?
can I get service connected? I don't know, but if you're a civilian, I don't think you can. If you're a contractor, I think that makes it hard. If you're a civilian working for the DoD, I don't know enough about that.
Yeah, we don't really just.
A lot of civilians we've seen are not eligible, but there's a possibility there. It's hard though, because you're not in one of the armed forces, if you're a contractor at least. 10 toes down. Can vets tie active bronchitis diagnosis to burn pits or Gulf War? Yes. James Johnson, I was denied for PTSD due to no diagnosis. They say that I have unspecified anxiety and depression disorder, but unrelated to combat stressors, even though I've qualified combat events help. Yeah, you need to appeal that. That's obscene. I mean, that's like how far can we skate around the actual issue here?
And remember, that's why I've been having my clients say, I'm filing for an acquired psychiatric disorder. So it doesn't matter what name they want to give it. I didn't have anything when I went in the service, but when I got out, I had a mental problem. And that way you don't have to prove stressors. And what you need really good letters from people that knew you before and after service that said, when you came out, this is how you differed mentally. Okay, put those in there. That's going to help you a lot.
Yeah, but it's the nexus saying that he has some ridiculous mental health disorder.
But that's why it's
important. He has to combat it.
Yeah, but that's why they can say, he said, or you can say whatever happened. But if you get those letters, that goes a long way to proving your case, not necessarily at the regional office, but at the board. The board reads those letters, or they should.
Mr. Hebert got a decision letter with denial of increase in all currents and 0% for migraine secondary to tinnitus. Start date for that was the day before I filed claim. Deferred all new and still waiting. Okay. I'm not see a question on that.
It sounds like when they defer off, it means because they need to have either compensation and pension exams, or they need an answer on the ones that have already been held.
Yeah. Kyle Wise, seen in 2007, less than six months after Iraq, and 2009, less than 6 months after PDRL, by the same QTC ENT for vertigo, who said both times and noted he saw me twice on mesalazine 2007 to 2021. Why denied? I don't see a nexus that they said there.
Did you get a copy of his report or her report? And the next thing is, you should ask for another CMP exam. Say you had the exact same person and you don't think that's fair, you want a new person to evaluate you. That would be a duty to assist error.
Unless you're saying that was favorable. Yeah. And the VA just ignored it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Magic Dragon. I live in Thailand now. Can I use a VA home loan for house here in Thailand or just for America?
I don't know the answer.
I don't know either. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
If you find that out,
let us know.
Dragon, we'd like to know that. Horace J. Brock. I was diagnosed with PTSD back in 2006. I was told that because I was not in uniform, my claim was denied. Can I get help on this? If you were in the service but not in uniform, then yes, you should be getting these benefits. So the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals has defined a service member. One is a service member 24 hours a day, no matter where, no matter when, what they're doing, if they're on duty, off duty. So if you were in service and that happened, then yes, you should be getting benefits for that. And you need to appeal if that's why they denied you, because that's it's just bogus on its face. Yeah. Stan S., thank you both for giving us your time and sharing your knowledge. You're welcome, Stan. We love being here. John Newell, I am 20% pending 2 claims awarded. Did we do this one? Awarded percent for sleep apnea was remanded. Question is, I received an RCOM for service in OEF for a year. Yeah, we did that one. So I'm sorry I missed this, guys. Okay. Thomas Taylor, 10% denied for PTSD a few years ago. Just had an episode and psychiatrist said depression and anxiety already on my record. Should I file a claim for depression? Yes.
Well, for an increased rating for PTSD, that the PTSD is causes.
Just denied PTSD. So yes, I would file for claim to reopen, or yes, file a claim for that and attach that medical record.
I thought he said PTSD at 10%.
Tinnitus, 10%.
Oh, tinnitus.
Yeah.
Denied. So you need to say, why is the depression and anxiety service connected is related to the tinnitus? Is that what's causing you the problem? That's what I'm, remember, it has to be related to service or a service connected condition. But if you're denied for PTSD and something happened in the service, once again, remember, try the acquired psychiatric disorder. I'm telling you, a lot of people win when they haven't won for PTSD because the VA has this ridiculous list of criteria that you have to meet every single time in order to actually have PTSD. So it's hard to do that. Acquired psychiatric disorder is not difficult. You don't have to prove a stressor. You don't have to prove all of these criteria for PTSD, but it gets you the same thing.
Trey plus 38, can diabetes be secondary to major depressive disorder?
Yes.
Tricky though.
It's tricky. It's not easy, but yes.
That guy, is disability from entry-level discharge viewed differently or with less credibility? Disability from an entry-level discharge. I'd say it's a harder case. If you're in basic and you leave, you get kicked out, they're going to look at that with jaundiced eye. So you definitely need to show something happened in service through your records to prove your case. They're
always hard. They're looking for somebody that actually they're hard on just about everybody.
Yeah.
But they're particularly hard on people that haven't spent the whole time in service that they signed up for.
Yeah. Salty. My issue is that a claim has been denied and I reopened it with supporting documentation. It is opened as a new claim, which is negating the original file date. A lot of money lost due to the issue. So if you filed that new claim to reopen the supporting documentation or the supplemental claim within a year of that previous decision, it all goes back to the same date. Now, VA, especially the regional office, is screwing this up as a rule. I mean,
they are pretending you just filed it this time. They're not going back, and that's wrong. So those are ones that we were talking about that are good to file higher level reviews for, because you point out to them, this was an appeal, it was a supplemental claim, but it was actually an appeal of another claim that I filed whatever date, and it was filed within a year. And therefore, the date should be, and give them the date, okay? You need to write out exactly what you're asking for, but those are cases where I've seen the higher level review actually be favored.
Attila Thesus, keep up the great work. You guys are the best, great assets to the veteran community. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Veterans, entertainment, music, art, and relaxation. As a disabled vet, I counsel other vets on disability claims. I'm so thankful for the good work you do. Thank you. Thank you. Jose M, I'm 92%. They denied me for my knees, feet, back for primary, and they did not look at secondary for my service-connected back. Do I have a case? Knees, feet, back. Yes. Neck would not be found secondary to back, but the other ones definitely should be, and hopefully that.
And this is one where you want to file a higher level review because the duty to assist. This is what I was arguing, and the examiner did not evaluate that issue. He only evaluated where these were current did you have these problems in service, as opposed to have they been caused by a service-connected problem after service.
Okay, Keith Pryor, 100% P&T for traumatic brain injury and benign paroxysmal positional vertigo with post-traumatic stress disorder, major depressive disorder. Do you think I have a case for SMC-10?
Absolutely.
You do, but you got to show that you need help from another individual, but that person not only has to, give you aid in attendance, getting in and out of the house, bathing you, feeding you, but also there's some kind of medical relation there, meaning like they have to help you with your medicine, remind you to take your medicine, maybe give you shots, stuff like that. But you are set up for that.
But meanwhile, don't go for the whole thing only. Go for a bunch of things. Ask for SMC housebound. Are you able to live the house by yourself? That's an SMCS. Go for aid and attendance. That's just basic activities of daily living you need. That's SMCL. And then also file for SMCT. So you don't want to go for all or nothing. You want to keep working on it, and you can continue to appeal, but sometimes that will give you, a leg up on this SMC road that you're going down.
So let's see, that was from Christopher Cannon. If the VA listed a date range of evidence considered for my claim would pointing out an exam within that date range be considered new evidence? No, they have what's called the presumption of regularity, meaning the government, when they list something like that, it is presumed that they review it. Now, did they review it? Probably not in your case, it sounds like, but you would need something else besides what was listed as evidence on that rating decision. Edith Souza, I got out in 95 and have sleep apnea. Can I claim it now? Yes. I have upper respiratory and pneumonia. Got a letter from my husband that said VA issued new regulations for exposure.
Well, did she have it in service? I wasn't sure what she.
Well, can she claim it? Yeah, she can claim it now.
Oh, you can claim it whatever you want now, but you have to show the connection to service. That's what I was.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Christopher Witt. So which contradicts what he said already, stated that I had, but the VA denied my neck and my back issues. My VA doctor has taken me out of work for permanently due to the severity of my issues. Can I appeal this? I'm sorry, Christopher, I don't remember the first.
Right, remember, are we talking about service connecting it or getting a higher rating? That's what I'm not sure.
I'm not either, but I mean, it sounds like you're at unemployability at the least of your doctor saying you can't work.
For a service-connected problem.
Yeah. Jerry Means, the VA keeps denying my claims for sleep apnea. The case keeps going to court and they tell me that it can't be used against me. So now they're saying my neck is not big enough to have sleep apnea. If nothing else, they're incredibly creative.
God.
I don't know enough about medicine to tell you on that, but I mean, that just looks absurd on its face. So
I know.
My last day in service, this is 21/2002. Giovanni, my last day in service is August 31st, 2021. What's my first step? Your first step before you get out is on your exit exam to list everything that.
And get your medical records. Get a copy of all of your medical records and your military personnel file. Okay, copy it.
So, but make sure you get on your exit exam, you list everything you think happened or is wrong with you right now.
Exactly.
Okay. Cassius Williams, I have been diagnosed with stenosis and spine disease in my lower back. It's given 10% for that. My medical records in the military is documented. What is there a chance of meeting P&T? So that is difficult. Back cases are so hard in and of themselves because their ratings are so stingy. But if you have problems, lower back, you have problems with the radiculopathy down the legs, if you have problems with incontinence, if you have problems with depression because you're so much more limited by your back, you need to be filing all those issues because those ratings are way more significant and they can get you.
Because remember, for your back alone, you can only get 40% max unless your back is ankylosed, you can't move at all. And stenosis usually means that you probably have radiculopathy, that's pain going down each leg. And I didn't hear about a rating for that. And it can also cause urinary problems. Mm-hmm. And I didn't hear a rating for that. So, and depression. So as Matt says, it's really filing for all of these things that's going to give you the rating that you need. It was a good job.
Oh, thanks. Don't get that often. All right. Come along with Uncle Joe. If you are rated 90% P&T, but have unemployability paid at 100%, if you continue to claim and bring 90% over 100%, is that okay to go to work or do you have to take unemployability off? Okay.
No, if you get a schedule or 100%, then you can go to work.
Hey, Ephraim, if you could look up OSRD, OTSRD, that's under Northern Colorado Transparency. Again, I don't know what that is, but the gentleman has a 50% rating for that. Just let us know so we can hopefully give a good answer. John, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps the channel because it makes YouTube rate it higher and more people, then it pops up more often. John, thank you so much for saying that. I get yelled at every time after this is over because I never mentioned that. So
thank you so much.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Let's see. Vincent Valunueza. I am not sure which of my conditions are direct or or secondary. Can I just submit a claim for all direct? You just submit a claim.
For everything.
Okay.
And then whatever they service connect you, then see if that would cause any of the other problems or be a complication.
Okay, here we go. We got it from Northern Colorado Transparency. Other than stressor-related disorder. Okay, so this is a mental health disorder you have here, Northern Colorado Transparency. Submitted a secondary claim for sleep apnea. Yes, that's one you fight for. Restless leg and chronic pain for the 50%. Denied all and secondary is my It is in my VA records and I have strong IMO. Yeah, you need to fight that. Again, the chronic pain I think should be directly service connected. However, as Carol said, you have the pyramiding issue. If the chronic pain has overlapping and basically completely overlapping problems as the mental health condition, then you're not going to get rated for it. But the sleep apnea and the, I think that's secondary to me to the.
Does he have depression?
Oh no, he's rated for PTSD or he's
has
rated
mental
for health disorder.
Okay, so headaches. If you have headaches,
well, no, he wants to know about these, the restless leg syndrome, and so the restless leg syndrome, I would appeal and say it doesn't matter if that's secondary to the mental health disorder or directly service connected through Gulf War syndrome. I mean, they got to show that it's not that its etiology is known, and there's another reason why you have that besides, yeah, you have a name for it, but why do you have
right?
It? So
and the sleep apnea goes with the mental and chronic pain. Not sure about that, but I'm just saying if you have headaches, erectile dysfunction, please claim those because those are definitely secondary to the PTSD.
All right, Charles Raby, left active duty 2005 after returning from Iraq. Retired Army Reserves 2018. Had chronic sinusitis on record, but no service connection on exit exam in 2005. Chances of winning on a presumptive claim. Well, the presumptive claim. Yeah, I was going to say the presumptive claim just matters that you were there and where you were, and if you can prove that.
That's the latest law that just came out.
It's very exciting.
Chronic.
Hopefully, it's the first of many.
Yeah, chronic sinusitis, asthma, and rhinitis. They're all presumptive conditions now. If you were over there during the scheduled time period, just came out last week.
Dave Kervin, hi from Pittsburgh. Does your firm have any stats regarding how backlogged VA is with legacy BVA teleconference hearings? I've on docket since 2019. We don't. They kind of.
I just looked at one the other day. It was in 2017.
Yeah, they were very open with what they were doing for a while, and then now they've kind of closed ranks because they're getting way behind.
Yeah.
Is SMC amount in addition to the 100% pay rate? No.
Yeah. Is SMC? Yes, SMC is in 100%. You're at 33, and SMC is in addition to that, right?
Well, so let's say 100% is 3,000, and SMCS is 3,300.
That's an additional.
But you don't get 3,000 plus the 3,300.
No, but you get the S. Okay, so we're clear. You get whatever the total is, and then you start adding on top of that. So SMCS might be $500 more. SMCL might be $1,000 more, but you don't add the 3,100 again.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will say it's that time, the first time I got someone SMCS, I was just jumping through the roof thinking that I just doubled their money. It turned out I only got them $300 more. So I'm with you. I wish we were. All right, Dennis Wood. The VA has slowed down on claims off over 1 year. They say, or gathering know why. Yeah, they're totally overwhelmed again. They changed the system. They're trying to say, hey, look, this is better. And it was basically just 3 shell months.
Let me tell you what happened. I just got a BVA grant of unemployability for my veteran on July 9th. It's still sitting there, okay? And so I said, what's going on? I mean, all you have to do is pick a date and pay the guy. And they said, we're 115 days behind grants, which is really a long time.
And as Carol said, that requires absolutely no
nothing,
work.
No work.
Except publishing decision versus like, oh, okay, the PVA said we need to get a CP exam. We need to get these records.
Or we need to find a rating. But no, all they have to do is just pick a date he became disabled and pay him. So things are getting really backed up. And this was from the head of benefits. I wrote an email to him.
Charles Raby is torn meniscus and patellar chondromalacia. Separate claims, even if flexion is rated the same. There's separate claims because the knee can be rated 3 different ways. I mean,
many different ways.
These are really fascinating. They have at least 3 different codes for just the knee. So that is something, you could be rated for, but again, you have to have different symptomatology for each. And yes, I butcher names and medical terms as if it were my job, and I apologize for that. Timothy Certain, I'm service connected for lumbar spine. Can I get service connected secondary for C-spine? Cervical spine? No.
It's like it goes down or it can go up. So your feet can cause a problem with your knees, your hips, your back, but the neck The neck is just something different. I've never seen where they service connected.
And that's we've tried to engage
Yeah, we've tried
outside doctors, and they've all said no.
All the experts have said no, that's not related.
Tom Anita Wilson, I think my judge is on extended vacation. That's a positive way to look at it, I think. Kenneth McKinney, BCD discharge, but was diagnosed 50% more than likely that PTSD was service related in CP exam. So that's bad paper discharge, bad conduct discharge. That's an uphill battle. There's an administrative decision that goes on in the VA to determine if you are eligible for VA benefits. If you have PTSD and can show that was the reason why you had the bad conduct discharge, then you can win. If you can't do that in the VA, then you can appeal it through the VA, obviously, but then you need to go over to the Military Correction Board.
And you should do that because they have really been incredibly good about reversing things lately compared to what they were before. You can show that I had PTSD and that's what caused it. Get a letter from your doctor and send it in. A lot of them are changing the bad paper. The other thing is there's this crazy insanity thing. If you can show that you were insane at the time that you did it. And what is the definition? Do you remember? It's not the typical definition. So there's a chance. And I would go both ways. I would try to have your paper upgraded, but meanwhile show that, because of the PTSD, I wasn't thinking normally.
Yeah. So I agree. You got a good claim there. All right, we're running out of time. She's got claims file, case for winning. Kevin Moeller, how does VA determine what bases are contaminated? I served at Schofield Barracks, 75, 78, drinking contaminated water, same as Camp Lejeune, TC. Schofield was a Superfund site in the mid-'80s. They don't determine anything was contaminated until they absolutely have to. So I would bring that evidence to your case. That it's a Superfund site, that the water was contaminated. I put all that in the record and say, these are the disabilities I have because of it. I found that the bigger the location, the more the vets, the more likely there is to be some kind of presumption, but if this is smaller base, then that can be difficult. We try to do a lot of research on these, and we see a lot of different toxic claims, and some we can win, some we just can't get traction on with the evidence. So, all right, I gotta do a couple more and then she's out of here. Beauty Stars Within, have you had success with chronic fatigue syndrome and filed secondary PTSD? Yes, we don't see that often, but we've had success. Sunhawk 61, I'm rated 80%, just diagnosed cervical spondylosis with myelopathy, which my doctor said is the same as radiculopathy. Can I service connect this secondary?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also remember about your hands. Are you unable to use your hands as they should be?
Yeah. Michael, I'm 130% regular math, 80% VA math. What's the easiest way to get to 100%? If you're not working, that's the easiest way. Otherwise, you got to just pull off every little tick and tack as far as, hand hurts, left hand hurts, knees hurt.
Look at all your problems and see if they're complications of what you're service connected for.
All right, we'll do 3 more. Try to get some new ones. Black over here. 11 super life. I was told 20% for cervical injury is a good rating and that I should not file an increase unless my neck is stuck in a position. Ankylosed.
Well, 30% is the highest you get without ankylosis.
Yeah. But can I file chronic pain as secondary? Yes, you can.
Chronic pain for the neck?
Yeah. Which would give them a mental health rating, right?
No, I think you need to file for depression. Chronic pain is not necessarily, they're going to say that's coming from the neck. But remember, do you have a problem with either arm or, your hands because of the neck? Does it cause headaches? So you need to think about all the other things that your neck inability to sleep. So I would sit and think of all the problems you have because of your neck and file claims for all of those as a complication of your neck.
Let's see. I told her 2 more. Stan S. I think Stan, I'm sorry, we answered one for you. Victoria Whitley, I'm rated 60% per knee. Do I qualify for S cup?
60% per knee. Wow.
That's
a good rating.
Well, it's tough. What's going on with you is what it is. I'm sorry to see that.
But how about your back? What did she say?
She said to 60% for each. I mean, definitely.
What's the question?
Does she qualify for S cup? I don't know what S cup. Oh, SMC. If you can't walk due to that, which
It sounds like you might,
rated, then yeah.
if you're in a wheelchair, if you can't stand and balance on each foot, then definitely file for SMC.
Yeah.
Do you have pain? Do you have depression because of that? Remember, people file for their knees and they forget about all the other problems it causes them. And that's how you get 100% plus all these SMCs. So, you know, are you depressed because of that? It seems like you should be because you can't do anything.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Gene Blair, severe diesel fuel exposure and side tank, triple bypass, denied. I would keep filing that. Those are the kind of cases we file, and we have to get a pretty significant doctor for on the outside, but that's a winnable case. Okay, last question. Oh, first of all, Combat Craig is in here, and I just want to shout out to him. He is a great advocate. Carol and I try to do one of these a week. He is prolific in his videos, doing 4, 5, 6, 7. So I would definitely recommend tuning in to him. Hey, Ephraim, can we get a link to his to him in there? But great guy.
Yeah.
A lot funnier than we are too. So he's a lot entertaining. All right, let's see. No. Okay, Diane Hellman, Mike was in infantry unit in Korea in '69. He filed for diabetes 17 months ago. The VA wants proof his unit and all he has is Korean medal, not in his file. He requested duty to assist. It's hard.
It's hard, but we win those depending on what base, where he was.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a lot of Department of Defense put out a statement that they actually don't know all the places where Agent Orange was used. And that's a very powerful thing to use. So it depends on what base he was. You need to see how far it was from the DMZ, what was his job. All that's really important. And you need to make sure the VA knows that because they probably don't.
Yeah. And so the other things is that if he can get a buddy statement showing what where he was, where they're going, if that doesn't work, if you can look back, and this is a little bit more difficult because it's a National Archives request, but looking at trying to see what was the routine of that unit, were they routinely going up to the DMZ, or were they stuck where they were? I mean, were they
what was his job?
Yeah.
Was he driving around Korea? Because remember, they sprayed the roads and they sprayed the sides of the road. So you need to figure out, that's what I was saying, what did he do over there? And unfortunately, a lot of times their MSO is not actually what they ended up doing over there. So that's why buddy statements could be awesome in this situation.
Yeah. All right. Held her here long as I can. I appreciate all of y'all coming today. I hope we answer more questions. It's nice to see some folks have been getting help with this. Keep bringing the questions. And I will say, I can't remember the gentleman that did it, but putting, having a question and then putting 1 of 2 so that I know to scroll down helps a lot, because I just read something and then don't understand what I'm supposed to answer. So that's great. If you get a chance, like the channel and hit the button. I think that's what we're supposed to do. There's some button that notifies you that we're on. So anyway, thank you all so much and have a great week.
Have a great week. Bye.